Hi, I'm Jeff, head of the design team at CareerFoundry. As you probably know, the UX industry is super fast-paced and dynamic. Every year seems to bring a fresh wave of trends, challenges, and talking points. So what's going to be big in UX this year? I caught up with Sebastian Rühl, the Chief Design Officer at Tourlane, to discuss some of the biggest design trends in 2019 and beyond. In 2019, storytelling will increasingly be used by UX designers to translate user value into reality, creating products and experiences that consumers relate to on a deeper level. The question all UX designers should be asking right now is, how can we create a truly memorable user experience? Here's what we discussed.
But I think it's really interesting to see what other companies are doing in that sense. You know, like there's a story that you're telling with your company.
Yes.
Is that something that you think you'll see more of in 2019?
Yeah, exactly. So it's more and more about the experiences, about telling the story, telling the story behind it. I think that is what is making or giving the unique propositions, unique selling point for the product. Because right now we are in an environment, in a startup environment, that's getting harder and harder to develop ideas, new ideas that are unique.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, what's coming after the next fintech?
Yeah.
So what is happening afterwards? Yeah. So there is that one crazy idea with, in the best case, a very good UX, and the others are just trying to follow.
Yeah.
And for that, so the others are to have that advantage against the competitors. Of course, you have to tell a story around it. You need to create a unique experience, and as a UX designer, you have to think about it beforehand. Okay, what is the experience I want to create? What makes me unique? What is the story I want to tell?
That's also something I'm curious about. Is you said like what makes me unique, and you said that your company is telling a story. Where does that story come from? Like, does it come from the CEO, or does it come from doing a workshop with your fellow employees? Does it come from the design team? Like, how do you start that story?
We're starting a workshop actually.
Okay.
We made a brainstorm workshop,
okay.
and we have been asking us why we're doing that. What is the why behind our company? Why the people come
why
to
do we
us?
exist?
Why we exist? Why the people should come to our company? Why they should be happy? Why customers should come to us? What makes us unique? What is our unique selling point at the end?
Even some strategy, I mean.
Yes, so we had like 3 or 4 days of workshops.
Okay.
Really concentrating about what is the why, how we're doing it, what we're doing it, what is our positioning we want to have.
Yeah.
We have been looking in our data, like what are the customers we actually have.
Sure. Yeah.
And also talked with our travel experts, because they are the touch point with the users.
Okay. Yeah.
So they can verify the assumptions we made based on the data. So this gave us the idea about the vision we want to achieve. It's like creating the future of the travel agency.
Yeah.
It's like creating the best experience in travel, and every touch point the user have with us.
Yeah, I think storytelling is a skill that everyone can use. I know for designers, maybe there's a designer and she needs to do a presentation to pitch an idea, or she needs to present the ideas that she has. I think that's generally the easiest way to get into storytelling. But do you have some ways for other designers to get into storytelling who are not currently doing it?
I think it's a lot about reading.
Yeah.
Reading how other people are doing it, reading about online blogs, and trying to find the story behind the brand. And this is more like classical knowledge. We are doing like 20, 30, 40 years that have also UX designers now to train.
Right. See, this is a new thing for them, I think, for the most part.
One of the most important things to remember is not to just blindly follow trends. Every UX designer should have a good understanding of their company vision and what UX design might look like in 20 or 30 years, which leads us to our next talking point: invisible, intelligent user experiences.
And also this, when we're talking about trends, I think to not just run behind trends every year, it's important to have a global idea about, what is the why that I want to achieve in 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
How will UX look like? What is my vision for it? like we're doing with companies. What is the vision for my company? What is the vision for myself for UX?
Yeah.
What is the vision for my UX team? What is my personal goals?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it easier to figure out which UX trends I actually can use this year to achieve my final goal. For example, for myself, it's like the future of UX is like to have an invisible experience and an intelligent experience, that it's there in the right moment and adding value and usability to the user, right?
Yeah.
It's like the perfect design, the perfect UX for me, it's like the invisible design. It's not an interface at the end.
Yeah.
It's like to have no interface anymore. That is the future.
Yeah.
To have intelligent design is like working with smart technology that helps me because the technology knows already me.
Yeah.
He makes a pre-selection for me.
Yeah.
And to be there in the right time, and don't annoy the user.
Yeah.
Adding value and be useful is also making it easier to look now for what are the trends now and to make decisions. Okay, is it useful for me right now, or is it just a small micro trend right now that's floating around?
Would matter next year in 2020.
Exactly. So is it helpful for me that we're making all illustrations with people like blue-faced, because it's right now a micro trend, having illustration with blue-faced people? Probably not, because it's like it's not a long-term strategy, and in the end, all brands looking the same. But is it you
mean the fact that there's lots of blue colors?
Yeah, right now there's a small micro trend within the illustration scene that.
The illustration thing.
Yes. The illustration scene there.
Like you've seen undraw.co, right? It's just like you get free illustrations. It's like the unsplash of illustrations, and it's like that means it's probably already hit the peak,
Yeah. But when we're talking about smart technology, there's a lot of algorithms we can use right now, and machine learning we can use right now to serve the user. Yeah. To solve a problem at the end.
Yeah, what you said about it being invisible, like, and there's the invisible interface. There's lots of talks. I think Golden Krishna or his name. He talks about this thing. But I used to wait tables before I did UX design, and they always taught you that like the best waiter was the one who was felt but not seen. Like, he always refilled your glass. He always did the thing, and I feel a bit like that's the goal with some of these, especially smart assistants. So if you talk about voice design today, and you look at the smart assistants, you probably would find them a very annoying waiter. Like if they served you at a restaurant, you'd be like, what are you talking about? But I do look forward as well to the day where those things will be seamless and they will be useful.
Yes.
And they will be something that people really want to have, or people just kind of take for granted maybe.
Exactly. So what is it what we have right now? It's just like this one is like a bridge technology, right?
Yeah.
It's like why I need to have a mobile phone with me? Why I need a watch at the end to check myself up? Yeah. So why I have to wear all those gimmicks around me? Why I have not that, like talking about the long-term future, like an implanted, like a short implantation is measuring how my body actually is.
Yeah, like the Apple Watch and the heartbeat that
Yeah, exactly. But why I have to wear it? So why it's not invisible? Why I have to take out my phone to make a photo? Why I cannot do it exactly with my eyes?
Yeah.
Why I cannot make commands with my brain at the end?
Yeah, the brain machine interface.
Yeah. So why I cannot do that? So what we're doing right now is like a bridge. You always type inside those pixels. You cannot even touch them.
Yeah.
And it feels like you always have that stuff around you that is somehow helpful, but somehow also annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people will go straight to the smart assistants, and I don't really think that's going to be the future. I mean, if you think about the phone in your pocket, I mean, there's GPS, there's touch sensors, there's gyro sensors, there's cameras, and it's not just one technology that just sort of was like, check this thing out. It's just released. It was a buildup of a lot of these things, and I think it'll be the same with voice. But I think with voice design, if you look at what's happening with AirPods and I have these Google Pixel Buds that you can sort of talk to them and then they translate. Like if you spoke German, you could speak German to me and it would translate in my ear. I find things like this probably going to be a bit more what happens in the future, whereas they're sort of hidden into other devices, because I think voice offers a really easy interface that doesn't need a lot of surface area. You know,
Yeah.
so I find there's like a lot of design possibilities with voice.
Yeah.
It'd be quite interesting, and it's also I think 3 times faster to talk into your phone than to tap into your phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever tried to do a whole lot of typing with your phone. Like I sometimes try and do little bit blog posts when I'm having an idea and I'm out in the world and I try to tap it and it's just not easy to do.
Yeah. But in the end, what I talked about is like solving a problem, right? It's like a problem we have. You cannot immediately speak the same language.
Yeah.
So that's where when you have smart technology that serves you, that helps you, and is invisible at the end.
Yeah. And it's seamless. Right now it's a bit slow. And with these headphones, it requires you to like hand your phone to the person you're translating with, and it's not exactly a good experience.
Exactly.
Here's my $800 phone, you know.
Please don't steal it.
Yeah, exactly.
As more and more companies become advocates of great user experience, designers will need to focus much more heavily on how design is driving the bottom line. This includes understanding business KPIs, such as revenue and customer retention, and designing with these in mind.
We're always talking about UX. So important. It's like it's a unique thing right now. It's a story you have to tell. It's that what makes the product.
Yeah, it's the magic ingredient to the products these days.
Exactly.
So,
But they have no voice at the board. That means on the other side, of course, you have to understand the numbers. How design is driving those numbers. That means also that is also a shift right now in the design world. That designers are not making those fancy designs. They also learn about how to drive numbers at the end. They have to understand the numbers. Okay, what does it mean this year one at the end if I'm driving it up? What does it mean in revenue? How is it connected to make a beautiful design and a beautiful experience to the NPS score? What is the connection between the NPS score and the number of referrals I have, the number of referrals to the revenue? So in the future, the designers also have to know more about the business behind it, the numbers behind it, and have to learn the language the stakeholders are talking about. We cannot hide behind our little desktops anymore.
our pixels.
If you want to show the importance of design, we have to learn the languages of the stakeholders.
Yeah, this is something also in 2018 I focused a lot on. I did the Designers MBA from a company in town called Beyond Users, and that the way they put it is designers are constantly creating value with our designs. We also need to know how to extract value, and I think it's a really nice way of looking at it. And his whole point behind this course was looking beyond users. And I think the main takeaway from that course was I learned to speak the language of design. Look at the sales funnel and understand how that works. Look at different parts of the customer journey and what are the design metrics for those parts. And you mentioned too that I think are quite interesting: NPS score and referrals. There's generally you're trying to, what's the value of design? Like, how do I know someone's had a good experience? Well, those are 2 really good examples that you can quantify how people feel about an experience.
Exactly. It's really about finding the right KPIs for you, for your design team, but also transferring them into business goals at the end.
Yeah.
The role of the UX designer is constantly evolving, and we will see more specialist jobs positions popping up on the job boards. While last year was all about the rise of the UX researcher, this year we'll see more and more UX copywriters and even UX engineers.
I've been hearing a lot about this position, UX researcher and UX writer. At CareerFoundry recently we hired a UX researcher, and it's been an amazing experience. Can you talk a little bit about those 2 roles?
Yeah, I think it's also one trend we actually see is that we're having a more and more separation inside UX.
Right, within UX there's different areas.
Exactly, because UX was pretty vertical.
Yeah,
and it's okay in the start, in the beginning, because we need somebody who can do somehow everything. But as soon as you're scaling up, you need us
at a certain size.
At a certain size you need experts within the field. And of course you need a UX writer who knows how to write copy to solve those problems we have. He knows how to write a copy for web design, for interfaces, that they have to be short, that they have a different language, because the interfaces are changing, how the people read.
Yeah.
They're just scanning.
So the context also is so important.
Yeah, so they're scanning very fast the content.
Yeah, they read very fast.
Yes, just looking for certain information they don't want to read actually. Nobody wants to read on the internet. Yeah, and of course it needs a different language and also a different language to not just to crystallize the key message, but also telling again the story of the brands, the idea behind it.
Oh yeah, so you have to inject that in there, I guess, as well. Like, what's the story?
Yeah, what is the story behind it, and how can I crystallize it and make it very clear in just one or two sentences? Because the time spent on phones, the time spent on websites is getting shorter and shorter because the people just want to make one click at the end.
Yeah.
They want to have the key message.
Yeah.
How can I, easy example, okay, how am I naming a button?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what a lot of people think of. They go like, well, okay, so I'm just going to put text in a button. That must not be very hard. But I'm sure there's much more that goes into it than that.
Yeah, in the end, it's pretty hard to give the buttons the right naming because in the button, they have to be consistent all over the place, and they have, of course, describe what is the next step you're doing, what you're actually working on, what is the action you're doing.
Yeah.
And this needs also research at the end to know, okay, what people are looking for, what is the user looking for, what action the user wants to do at a certain moment.
What do they expect is about to happen?
Yeah, and so the UX researcher come also into play and talking together with the UX writer, okay, how we make those, how we find the needs, the pains and the gains of the product.
I think the needs is a huge part of that. Like it's so important to know that.
Exactly, how we translate it into copy at the end. So that's working in the end together. Okay. Yeah. There are more and more interesting popping up roles, and I think in 2019 and 2020 we'll see more and more roles with specialization, like UX engineers are popping up. Hear more and more about those roles. There are within those new roles, new disciplines and new workarounds, like what we heard last year about design ops. We'll hear the same about research. It's like research ops. You have a team around it, because the big question will be, okay, how we centralize all those information we gained, how we can make it public for the whole team. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
How do we not ask always the same question and somebody else in the team already has a solution for that? Yeah.
So at what size do you think a company starts to need a UX writer and a UX researcher? I think a lot of people watching this might be general UX designers, or they're interested in becoming UX designers, or UI designers as well. So at what sort of companies should they be looking for if they want to become a UX researcher and UX writer? Is there a certain size?
Yeah, I think it's like mid-sized startups,
it's like
mid-sized companies. Yeah, like 100, something that's probably starting. Before that, you have most of the time just one copywriter that is doing the job for everything. Who's also doing the press releases. So it's starting then as a company, it's mid-size, and is in the growth stage at the end. Okay. So.
Yeah. Well, for our courses, we offer at the end of your UX course, you have a chance to specialize, and you can choose. As a UX designer, you can just specialize in front-end coding. You can specialize in UI. And you can also specialize in voice design. But I'm curious if there are other specializations that you're seeing coming out of UX. Like there's UX writing, you were saying. There's UX research. Have you heard of any other things like that?
What is popping up many times now? UX engineer.
Yeah, UX engineer. And do you know more about that? Like, do you have any idea what that is?
I have no idea about it, to be honest. No, it's just popping out. One new thing that I hear always about is like, UX researcher.
Yeah, I think Google does that a little bit. I think Google has more UX engineers and fewer UI designers because they have such a strong design system. Yeah.
In the end, it's really about where I want. What is my role I want to have in the design world? What is the role that I want to have in the design team? Yeah. It's like if I'm interested in people, if I want to interview the people all the time, if I want to solve the problem with talking to the users, if I'm more like the data guy, just love to see inside the data and making assumptions based on the data.
Watching that dashboard.
Exactly, looking inside. If I'm the one who's interested in design, making fancy interfaces, consistent design languages, then it's probably more like the UI role. Yeah. So it's really about the interest in yourself and where do you see yourself in the future.
And that really makes me think. I struggled a lot in university with knowing what I wanted to do with my life. and I never knew, I wanted to be an architect. And so I did graphic design, and then I ended up in tech, and I liked UX, and I liked visual design and UI. Recently, whenever I try to hire a role, I always have to take a look again and see what are all the design roles today, because I feel like it changes on a daily basis.
Exactly.
I found an article on UX Collective, I think, the one with the polar bears on Medium. I think that's UX Collective. And it's called The Spectrum of Design. And they mapped it out and sort of like, here's the overlaps between UI and visual design and stuff. And I found that super interesting.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you're first starting out design, you have no idea what that stuff means. What are some tips you have when you're first starting out to get to this level of specialization?
Yeah, you're right. I think it's pretty complicated. So when I think about, because the role is not very descriptive, that we have,
it's hard to find out what is
UX designer. If I'm going to a hairstylist, I know what it's doing. It's styling hair. If I'm calling a fireman, I know what to do. It's guy taking care about fire. Yeah. If it's a UX designer, it's creating design about a user experience. I mean, take this as a phrase. It's like very hard to get. What is it? What is like design and experience? When I'm going in a grocery store, I'm asking for where's the cheese, and the person is yelling at me and saying, "You don't have cheese here."
Just cheese. I want more specific.
So then she is creating a bad user experience for me. Is she a UX designer for me right now in this moment?
Sure.
Yeah. Somehow she is creating the experiences. So
it's very broad.
Yeah, it's a very broad term. It's very hard to understand. That's what it makes right now. The changes in the roads make it much easier because
I agree.
UX research, okay, it's researching. Writer, okay, it's writing. Designer, okay, we'll design in the future. Just UI is interfacing. It makes it also easier for the hiring process, of course, because it makes it much more clear to looking for the profiles you're looking for.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's about really to finding the right position you want to work in the future. Yeah,
I think it's also about trying out a lot of stuff.
Yes,
a
lot of stuff.
I think sometimes that's more helpful at small startups. I was lucky that I found one of those first, and I could wear a lot of different hats. Like I tried interaction design proper, I tried more visual design, UI design, then I got to try more UX design. And I don't think I would ever know what I wanted to do without trying those things.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to find out more about UX design, visit CareerFoundry.com.